Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life, the podcast. You're listening to Author's Corner, where we highlight and showcase our local authors. Today, I am speaking to Louis Pelliccioni Jr., author of Success is More Than Winning. And Louis and I are going to be talking on the topic physical and mental techniques to handle stress so that you can keep on winning. Welcome, Louis.
Thank you, Myrna.
Hey, you're very welcome. All right. So let me give you guys a brief introduction. Here are some of the accomplishments of Louis Pelliccioni. Former high school star in football, basketball, baseball, and golf. Played on WVU freshman basketball team. He was a high school head coach with a winning percentage over 80% and won 2 state championships. Then he transitioned into a different career and won Rookie Broker of the Year award for the entire county of Prue Securities. Built a successful finance firm in West Virginia and Florida, owned and developed real estate for over 50 years, owned retail stores and a recreation park. As you
Yep.
can see, he's well qualified to write his book, Success is More Than Winning. So today we're going to be talking about success. And as you see, Louis has had a lot of success as a coach in finance and real estate because success is a state of mind and not just money in the bank. So let's start off strong with that comment. So, Louis, as we dive into our conversation today, let's start with what you have seen in your career that are the three enemies of success.
Well, there's no question, Myrna, when you talk about the three enemies, they deal with things that keep you from being successful and how you handle them. And in my 6 decades of experience, I've been working since I was 12, and you're looking at the three things of fear, risk, and failure. And
Mhm.
it's how you handle all three of those in your life in situations that will affect how successful you'll be. Um, I love a quote from Michael Jordan, and he says, "The harder I work, the less I fear."
Mm,
And it's just the type of thing that, everybody has a fear, and they all kind of go together. You have a fear of failure, a fear to whatever. And I know when I was coaching, I can't tell you why. I do not know why. I looked at everything and I was not fearful to do anything or try things. My first year of coaching, I was 21 years old,
mm,
and I actually got the job before I'd graduated from college. And I
nice.
was only a couple years older than the kids that I was coaching. And we had never won a state championship in the school's 50-year history. In the first year, we had a great team, but we lost in the semifinals in the state tournament, and we lost to a team that was better, or we were better than. But we
Mhm.
had not played the competition, so we didn't really have the great confidence when we went up against the better teams. And to make a long story short, I upped the schedule. In fact, we only had right around 200 kids in the school, and we played one school that had 2,400 kids in the
Wow.
school.
Wow.
And yes, we lost a little bit, but we won the first state championship because we were ready. I didn't fear the competition or what could come from it, and it was a great lesson learned, and that you have to go out and you've got to push yourself. Yeah, you might fail,
Right.
but it's that old quote that talks about if you haven't been in the arena and you haven't struggled and all that, you're much better than those timid souls that sit on the sidelines that have never faced success or failure. Franklin Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And I still go back. I was 21 years old when I was, doing this. And so I didn't fear it. And then risks, I had happened to listen to a speaker, Bob Richards, way before your time, Myrna. He was a decathlon champion in the 1952 Olympics,
Oh,
but he
wow.
became a speaker when I was in my teenage years, and he gave a talk, and he talked about you've got to take risks.
Mm,
You've got to go after it. Almost the same thing as playing better teams and stuff like that. And so, I've never been afraid to try. And I have failed. There's no question. Of course, if you're in
of
sports,
course.
you fail a lot. You lose
Yeah,
games and
right.
and so forth. But I've never ever been afraid because I didn't want to deal. I can't remember how young I was, but right around that time I read a great article about regret and
Mm,
about people on their deathbed.
yeah,
And they were talking about all the regrets. They weren't talking about their successes. It was the things they hadn't tried. And so,
right.
boy, it just really hit home, even though I was very young. And
Mm,
I just have not been afraid I've not been fearful. I'm not afraid to take risks
mhm.
and definitely not afraid of failure. And I know that there's a story. Um, there was a father, and I loved this story when I heard it. And his kids would come home from school and he'd say, "Okay, what'd you fail at today?" Not saying, "Hey, was your name
What you win? Right,
great? Have a lot of success." He wanted them to go out and try things,
right.
even if they
Mm-hmm.
failed. And there's just no question. You talk to any successful person, they'll tell you about the things they failed at.
Yeah,
And it's just part of success. And
right.
how you handle those three things affect your success greatly.
Well, that's amazing. When you were talking, I thought you were going to you're going to say about the quote. I don't know if it came from Michael Jordan or not, but I think it maybe came from a hockey player. I don't remember his name now. Wayne Gretzky. I think
Wayne
he
Gretzky.
said that you miss all the shots you don't take. So
It
yeah,
is.
whether
That's
it's risk,
then you regret them.
right, exactly.
That's the thing.
So I mean, yeah, but one of the beautiful things about sports that I see, I mean, I've never played, I played little sports in high school, nothing competitive, just little girls sports.
Right.
But one of the things that I am always surprised and inspired and really um, impressed with is that you see teams that are giving their all when I don't think they have any prayer in hell of winning, but they never give up.
Right.
And sometimes it works in their favor. So, I mean, it's very easy. What I'm trying to say is not to have fear in sports because you have to have the confidence, you have to believe that you're the best.
Yeah.
But people have fear in their work, in their jobs, in their,
Right.
because it's their livelihood is, if they get fired or if they fail, they have nothing to feed their kids.
Yeah.
So you still think that you know, you came from your coaching world and you took that same,
Yeah.
mindset into
Exactly.
your business world and it worked for you, I guess. Right.
Myrna, do you know there are companies today? I found this very interesting that if you don't fail enough, they tell you you're not trying
Fine. Hmm.
big enough.
Okay.
And I thought that was just wonderful. They
Yeah.
want you to
It's
try
a
big
different,
things, even if you fail,
yes.
because you don't attain almost like we did my second year of coaching. We're out playing teams that are 10 times have 10 times the kids that we have.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had better athletes, but we actually the team that had 2,400 kids, we beat them.
Yeah, well, of course, because all you have to do is instill in your players that they're good enough and give them confidence, and they'll
That's right.
go out and try it. And so you lose the championship, you're not going to starve. But yeah, I mean, we starting off strong, but those definitely are the enemies of success. You're fearful, so you don't want to try, you don't want to take the risk, and yeah, and what was the third one again?
Failure, fear, risk, and failure. The
And
three
failure. Okay, right. Yeah. So we're talking
how
about
you handle all three. They're intermixed.
right. Mhm.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's flip that over and talk about what do you think are the top three traits of all successful people. And, I'd love to know what are some of the traits that you think that made you successful?
Well, they were the ones I'm talking about. There's no question. I
The
think you'll
same
like
ones.
this. Uh, Now, there's a difference between the next question you're going to ask me, but the three traits of all successful people, number one, they live in the present.
Mm,
They're able to eliminate the past and not think too much about the future. And I'll give you an example. My first year in coaching, I've always been a believer, again through people that I've listened to, that I have mentors, and I go out and find the best. And I actually took a trip to Los Angeles and visited John Wooden's practice at UCLA. To me, still the greatest coach ever. Think about this. He won seven straight NCAA basketball championships, seven in a
nice.
row.
Nice.
That's
Wow.
unheard of today. And
Yeah.
he won 10 overall.
Mm,
And so I'm listening to him practice. I'm 21 years old, and he's instructing his team. He says, "Okay, I don't care what kind of day you've had. I don't care if you had a fight with your girlfriend or if you got a test tomorrow. The next hour and a half is mine. I want you
mm,
to eliminate everything. I want you to stay right here in the present,
mhm.
and we will have a good practice. And when your mind starts to wander, you go back to where it is." Now, he said, when practice is over, forget about it. Go out, you got to study, work on studying. You're out with your girlfriend, whatever it is, enjoy life.
Just be
But you
there,
got to
right?
learn to do everything in the fullest, and you got to be in the present.
Yeah,
Now, that sounds easy,
I know.
um, but it's not as easy as you think it is to
Yeah,
always stay in the present,
yeah,
because there's all kind of things coming in that
yeah.
distract you. But that's number one. Number two, and I've learned this, I think you'll really like this story, and that is traits of successful people. They all have a lot of contacts. I know that sounds contacts.
Right.
That's your next trait. Now you might say, okay, how's that a trait? Well, it's something that you try to do in life. Let me give you an example. I won an award my first year in finance. I was broker of the year in the whole country out of a little town in Morgantown, West Virginia, for the whole company of Prudential Securities. I thought I was pretty good. I said, man, I must be pretty good. I'm thinking, wow, whatever. I think it took about 30 years later when I added research to my book, which I have over 70 research projects in my book.
Hmm.
And here comes this 100-year-old study about success, happiness, and longevity. And it said the number one trait of being successful is connections. And I
Yeah.
started thinking, you know what? Maybe I wasn't as good as I thought I was, because in my small town, I had gone to high school there. I had been involved in sports. I knew a lot of people. I won state champion. I helped to win state championships.
Mhm.
And then I came back as an assistant coach at the university in the same town. I knew a couple of thousand people. I had
Mhm.
tremendous contacts. Plus, I was on boards. I was in civic clubs. I was making connections everywhere. And I said, you know what? I won that award because of my connections, not because I was the best.
Mm.
So I had to come to grips with that, but I'm okay with that because it is the number one trait and very important. So I tell young people, get involved, make connections with people. And when you really think about it, it's all three things. Happiness, the more people you have in your life, the happier you are, your family, your friends. Success, we've just talked about it. And longevity of life, people live longer when they have people when they're older,
Yeah.
and where they still have friends, they still have things to do. They're not lonesome.
Yeah.
And so that's the second trait that's very, very important, of all successful people. You listen to them, I said, I know a lot of people. I've made a lot of connections. The third is one of my favorites. In fact, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to probably add a couple more or one more at least,
Mhm.
is, and I learned this again from a talk when I was 15 or 16. And I've learned so much from talks that I listened to at high school. I remember them we're talking 60 years ago. And I still
Wow.
remember because they made an effect.
Russian. Right.
And yes. And this one was a guy came and he talked about reading. And I was a high school student, Tom, and I was not a great student. I was a CB student. I was a terrible reader. I mean, meaning I didn't really like to read that much. And he made a statement to me that I've never forgot. And he said, if you are not a avid reader, you will not be successful. And that hit me. And he went on to talk about it. And he said, do you realize the 1,000 plus of the most elite and people that have the highest net worth? There's one common trait all of them have. They're avid readers.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's so important to everyone's success. And I started to read more. And I have a library of thousands of books.
Hmm.
I've got books as I've got I had books on basketball, 500 on basketball because I wanted to be successful. Then I went into finance. I have 500 books on that. I've got tax books, I've got self-help books, all those things to help me grow and be
Yeah.
better. And there's no question, whatever success I've had, whatever it is, part of it's because I'm an avid reader. And it all came from that talk where that guy basically looked everybody in the eye and said, if you're not a reader, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
And it really made a difference in my life. And the more I read about it's like a given.
Yeah. Well, those are not the boilerplate answers. So I'm glad
No,
that
they're
we
not. They're not.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad that we're talking about something different here. Yes. But yeah, being in the present moment, it's actually very hard to do.
Very
Because
hard to
we've
do.
got 60,000 thoughts coming in our mind and 95% of the time we're not even aware that we're breathing and we're just going along. And the contacts, I've heard about that one before. Um, not necessarily being successful in anything other than a career. Because, when you want a job, how do you get a job? People that you know. That's why networking
People you
became
know.
so popular in maybe the 80s or so. And then the final one that you're talking about, reading, I am an avid reader. I read
Mhm.
all the time. And
Yeah.
I didn't think that it mattered towards my success, but I knew it mattered towards my personal growth. And which is
Well, that
why
does affect.
when I'm on this show, I can talk almost about anything because I'm reading and I'm learning and I'm growing. So
Yeah.
putting it with success, that is very good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Well,
Yes.
think about it. You're just postulating that right now, and you're not using the term success, but then when you look at it, you'll love this. When I was going through my training to be a financial advisor, I went to New York, and this was back in the 80s, and they taught everybody to make cold calls. That's how it was done. Not today, but well, you still get them. But
Yeah.
it was a big thing 50, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And I told the guy, I said, I'm not going to make cold calls. And he said, Lou, you'll never make it. And he said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to make cozy calls. And he said, what the heck is a cozy call? He said, I've never
Warm
heard.
calls. We don't call them cozy call. Warm calls, right?
Yeah. And I said, well, what a cozy call is, it's I am calling people that I know or that they know me.
Yeah.
And he said, my God, do I love that. And he said, I've never heard that before. And I've never made a cold call in my life. I've
That's
never
good.
just picked up the phone and called people. I've always known them, or from giving a talk, they
Right.
were there and my phone number and I call them back. Those are
Mhm.
cozy calls. It's not just picking up and
Those ones are highly successful. It's true.
yeah, yeah,
Your chances at a cold call are very slim. With a
very slim,
warm or
especially
cozy call,
yeah,
your results are much higher. So that's great.
very, very
And
much
then it
so.
comes from the contacts because who can make calls to cozy people or warm people? You might know two people, but you
Yeah,
got the contacts.
yeah, yeah. So it works. The last thing I want to mention, and it's something that I've done for 50 years. And I've got the research behind it. As I told you in my book, I've got like 75 research projects that back up everything. I didn't come up with the idea. I
Mhm.
want everybody, when I tell people, it was one of the people at Author Success that hit me with this and said, I've never seen a success book that has research. It's just someone's opinion of their experience.
Success, right? Hmm.
And boy, I mean, it enlightened me, even at my age and all the things that I've been fortunate to do, and that is planning. Successful people are planners. And what I mean by that, let me give you a study that was done. It took college kids, they were graduating. Only about 3 to 4 to 5% of them had written goals.
Right.
The other kids, some of them had some goals, but they didn't write them down. But these 5%, they wrote their goals down and everything. 10 years later, they went back and visited these, all the kids.
Hmm.
The kids that had the written goals were 10 times more successful than the
Yeah.
other people. It's been proven without question how
Right.
important it is to write your goals. I've been writing my goals for 50 years. Every holiday season,
Mhm.
um, Thanksgiving and Christmas, I do my goals for the following year with action plans.
Okay.
And it's been fun. I mean, it's not something that is terrible. I mean, if you want to be successful, you got to at least have something you're looking
Yeah.
forward to.
Yeah. It's
And then
called
I've
visioning.
always done
Yep. Yep.
vision boards.
Yeah. Visioning. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I think I'm not sure if it's Napoleon Hill said it, but he said if you don't write your goals down, then it's just a wish, wishful thinking.
that's
You got to write it
exactly
down.
I feel the same way. And then
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
vision boards,
Mm.
which I know you know what that is. That's just, and
Yes.
again, it's putting that image in your mind that you see
Yes.
it. I mean, the two
Mhm.
famous ones that athletes was Tiger Woods, who
Yes.
had all of Jack Nicklaus's records that he wanted to
The break.
break on a
Hmm.
vision board,
Okay.
and then the most recent one that of popularity is Shohei Ohtani from the Los Angeles Dodgers, the great player
Okay.
that's been Player of the Year the last 2 years in Major
Okay.
League Baseball.
Yeah.
And so it is something. It's very simple to do, and I've
Yes.
all done those. I learned those. Don't tell me why. I listened. I was a
Well,
strange
I,
kid.
I, I follow that. I follow that because I'm a coach and I understand writing your goals down. Yes, that is very important. I mean, I I just did something the other day where I was reading a book, and I think it's the compound effect. But there, he said that you should write your 1 year goals, your 3 year goals, your 5 year goals, your 10 year goals, and then say which one of them you're going to do first. You know what I mean? And then you
Yeah,
you label them. So I've got that. I
very
got my
important.
goals
Now
down
I'm
there.
going to hit you with the last part of this.
Okay.
And I cannot tell you. I listened to a course. I can't remember what it dealt with. I mean, what it was, but it dealt with time management
Mm,
because it was burned in my head. We all only have 86,400 seconds a day,
okay.
and how we use those seconds affects our life. And it just made sense. And I used the basic planning guide that you can get anywhere that has, you put every single hour you have listed. And it could be go to lunch, it could be go to breakfast, it could be work out, whatever it is, but you don't waste time when you do that. And let's say you have an appointment from 1 to 2 and your next appointment is 2:30. Most people waste that half hour. Not saying you, Myrna, not saying
I
you.
know.
But we tend to waste it because, well, we don't have the appointment till 2.
Right.
But if you have down there, I want you to make these 4 phone calls. That's your goal for that day. You have a better chance of getting that
Mm,
done. And they just came out, Harvard just came out with a study, a 100-year study that talked about the 100 most productive techniques. Number one was the planning of
mm,
scheduling your whole day.
mm.
Number one. And I do it the night before. I've learned how to do it. I can do it while I'm watching a ball game. You know what I mean? It's easy to
Oh.
do. It's not something.
Well, you're a real coach, boy. Yes. I mean, I
Yeah.
put my to-do list, but I don't put it by the hour.
Very important to do it. Start doing it. You'll be shocked how much more
Right.
you'll get done. Even if
Right.
it's one thing, think of this. Even if it's one thing a day that you get done that you wouldn't have got done,
Mhm.
how many that is in 30 days? It's
Yeah,
34
yeah,
things.
it's very important. Yeah. But I
And
usually
for
cross
how
off
many
my to-do
months?
list though. You know,
Yeah.
I'm very yeah, I'm very what is the word I'm trying to use? But I mean, if I say that I'm going to do something, I do it. So when I write it down on my to-do list, I like crossing it off that I've done it, and I don't finish my day unless I've done it. But yeah, I mean, we can go back into books that talk about eat your largest frog first or something. So the things that you have to do, you do them first, and A, B, and C goals, and you do the A one first, and you don't do the C one first, so because you can't get to the second one. But there's a lots of ways. But yeah, it sounds like
Yeah.
yes, like your
It's just
book
that,
is
it's called box planning, and
right.
it's been used for many, many, many years. But I can tell you've read a lot, listened a lot, just from all the things you're talking about, because I've heard all those things. And
Yeah.
again, I'm
Mhm.
also a believer if a person has a system that they like and it's working for them.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I tell people is check the time that you waste in a day.
Right.
And that is time when you get nothing done for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. It sounds like it's so structured, but it's not because you
Hmm.
can change it.
Yeah.
Not a
Yeah.
problem changing it. It's not like,
It's
oh my
your
God,
list.
change it.
Right.
No.
It's your list. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. I mean, and there's some people that spend too much time on one thing and then the rest of the things don't get done. I've never been that kind of person, but I know, some people that are perfectionists, they spend 2 hours on something that should have been only been 50 minutes. I never had that problem. But yeah, that's, those are some of the things. But yeah, I like your idea about you know, if like for instance, you talk about the 4 phone calls, right? If you put on your to-do list that you have to make these particular calls and you've got a half an hour block of time where you don't have anything to do, at least you can get one or two of those calls in.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
that's a good
It's just
idea,
about
right?
time management.
Yes,
You're
right,
not,
right,
you're
exactly.
right.
And if you
You're
don't, at the end
100%.
of the day, it's not going to be crossed off because you didn't get them done, and you're going to say, "Oh, I was too busy." You're very right. So
Yeah.
yeah, I see the subtext of your book there because you've got it in the back, or 99, you don't have it right now, 99 tips for success. So, all right. So now tell us about your book. It is called Success is More Than Winning. Why did you write it? And what do you want the readers to walk away with after reading?
Wow. Believe it or not, I wrote the book because I wanted to give talks in high schools, and I've got around
Mm,
25. I want to give back
okay.
to high school kids. I've got about 25. In fact, I'm down in Florida, Naples right now. We have an office down here, but I came down for a couple of things. Came down for my granddaughter's birthday, so they were 3 and 5, so I wanted to do that. But next week, I'm giving a talk in Lee County. There's 18 or 19 high schools, and they have a football day.
I live
And
in Lee County, by the way. Fun fact.
okay, well,
I'm in Fort Myers, right?
I'm giving a talk at on football day next Tuesday, where all the high school, the top five I think they said 5 to 7 kids from all 19 high schools will be there, and I'm
That's
giving a talk
beautiful.
on the stuff we're talking about right now
That's
about being
beautiful.
successful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and
Awesome. All right. Mhm.
yeah, so that's what I'm doing and loving it and looking forward to it. And if you remember, my stories have all dealt from listening to people when I was in high school and stuff
Right.
like that.
Right.
And
Yes.
I'm trying to give it back. I'm trying to give back.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I've already had some really nice things said about the book, which was really great. I had a father that he called me and he said, Lou, he said, I want you to know my 17-year-old son, I gave your book to him about, and he said, in about a week, he read it. And he said, we've
Mhm.
been having trouble getting him motivated. He
Mhm.
came over to me. handed the book off. He said, "Tell your friend Lou, I love the book,
Mhm.
and it's time for me to start doing something."
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
he said, "Lou, I've been telling him the same things, but he won't listen to me." And I said, "Well, what it's called
It's
is
presentation, how you presented it with stories, with
yeah,
success, and yeah, you know, you know, our saying is you can take the horse to the water, you can't make him drink, but at some time something is going to penetrate and he's going to drink. So
yeah,
the way you've written your book with stories of your personal stories, stories of science and I
yeah.
can
It's
tell just
it's a
we just
combination.
had a little 30-minute conversation here and I can tell that it was something that will motivate people,
Well,
especially
we
young minds. Right.
yeah, we know
Yeah.
from Chicken Soup from the Soul, which I'm sure you've read,
Right. Hmm.
stories motivate.
Yes.
And I was actually in 2019, right around the end of 2019, I was at dinner with some friends and I was telling stories like I always do. And they were laughing and they said, "Lou, you've got to save those stories." And that's
Yeah,
kind of
put it
what
in a
started.
book.
And so I've got over 90 stories. I've got over 75 research projects that back up what I'm saying. And then I've got 60 years of experience on different areas to talk about, say, yeah, this works. I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you right now. And there's three ways that we learn. And one of the things that I want to teach young people, we learn through just experiencing life. Okay. We learn from reading
Mm-hmm.
and we learn from listening to people that have been where we want to be or have done what we want to do.
Yes.
Actually experience is the hardest and longest. If you have to learn everything by mistake over years, why not talk to someone that
Yes.
has made those mistakes and they said, "You don't want to do this.
Right,
You want
exactly.
to do it this
That's
way."
what books do.
That's
Books
what
teach
books
you
do.
so that because books are going to tell you the right way to do it. Oh, I've tried that and that doesn't work. So this is the faster way to go.
Yeah,
So sure,
yeah.
definitely.
And
Right?
that's what I'm trying to get people to understand is, because whatever I did in life, I found the best people to do it. I got books. I went to see him if I could, like practice sessions. I've been all over the country
Mhm.
listening to people finding out the most successful in what area that it might be. And it's
Right.
so much easier to learn that way because here's a person that's done what I want to do.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's
yeah.
telling you, or she,
Hmm.
they are telling you, don't do this. Don't
Right.
do it this way. Here's the five reasons why.
Yeah.
It's better than going out there and trying, "Oh, well, I made that mistake. Oh, I made that mistake. I should have listened."
Yeah, and then what happens when you do it the long way and you do it the hard way and you're not successful, then you're disappointed and deflated and that's the thing of not being successful. But yeah, books teach you. That's why there's books.
Yeah.
Books teach you how to do things. So I love the title of the book, Success is More Than Winning. And yeah, success in life takes, it's not just, I started off by saying money in the bank because that's how people measure success. But success is not even championships, right? Success
No,
is how
not.
you live your life and your contribution to your community. And you're definitely one of the, you've got accolades and awards and success, but you're also giving back. You're contributing to
No.
the community.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
helping you're helping the next person and that's what you're supposed to do. That's how you measure success. So,
No, I agree with you,
yeah.
Myrna.
Okay.
It's not
So,
money.
yeah, exactly. Right. So we're definitely fresh out of time, but I definitely enjoyed our conversation.
Mhm.
And yes, definitely go pick up a copy of Lou Pellis. I'm never gonna forget how to say your name now. Pelliccione, right? How do you say it again?
Pelliccioni. Pelliccioni.
Pelliccione. Pelliccione book. You don't need to remember that. Just remember the book is Success is More Than Winning. I'm sure it's on Amazon. Do you have
Yes,
a
it is.
website, Lou, that you want to send them to?
Yes, my website, which is about 90% done. It's get in the works because I also have a workbook
Okay.
and I'm finishing that has all the planning things that we talked about.
Okay.
And because I just believe in it. But on my website, it's yesyoucansucceed.org.
I like it.
And yeah.
Okay. All right. So I will have a summary of my conversation with Lou on the show page, which is myhelps.us. I will link out to his book. I will link out to his website. Are you in social media?
Oh yeah, I'm on Facebook. All you gotta do is put my name,
Okay.
and I accept everybody.
Okay.
And and LinkedIn the same
Okay.
way. Yeah,
Okay.
I love to deal with people, talk with people, help people.
Of course.
And I had a young lady this morning at the gym ask me, she said, "Do you do any coaching and with people?" And I said, "I'll help anybody and
Okay.
tell them what I've
That's
learned. I love
wonderful.
people and
Hmm.
love to help people, and that's kind of my mission the rest of my life."
Okay, well, that's beautiful. Well, if I have some time, I'll come and hang out with you for your football day next week because I'm in town here.
I
Okay.
it's next
Send me the
Tuesday.
location. Yes.
Yeah, it's next
Email me.
Tuesday.
Yeah, email me the location. I might come and meet you and shake your hand. So,
Yeah, it'd be
all
good.
right. All right, guys. Well, listen, this has been a very enlightening conversation. I hope that you learned a lot from my short conversation with Louis, but definitely pick up his book so you can learn more. But one of the things that I took away from here is be present, do not fear risk, do not fear failure. In fact, go out and fail, and also be present, be here now, which is I do a lot of meditation, and being in the present moment is the most important thing that you can do. And I was even meditating this morning, and I'm doing the same thing. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the future. Just concentrate on what's happening now.
Yep. Stay in the present.
Be here now. Stay in the present moment, right? So, and that's what fear is. You're thinking that something bad is going to happen in the future. Just concentrate on the good that's happening now, right? Because there's probably something good happening now. But
Yep.
all right. So, yes, I definitely enjoyed my conversation with Lou. Pick up a copy of his book. Thank you for being on the show, Lou, and sharing your wisdom because you have a lot of it. So, thanks again for being on the show. And as we wrap up, do you have any last words?
Well, let's see. I wrote something down, and this is the thing that I've really tried to also that I've learned through many experiences. One of the keys to success is, and it comes from the sports vernacular. And it's interesting. I listened to a study between talking about how we are in life with educating ourselves. We either do it the public school way or we do it the sports way. And
Mm,
it's not that the public school way is bad, except it ends. You
mm,
go to high school and it can end. You go to college and it can end.
right.
No, the sports way is the way. Never stop learning.
Yes.
Try to get better every day at something. And that comes from sports. I mean, that's exactly it. And a lot of educators have said the sports way is the best. I mean, I'm going to be 77 here soon, and I'm still working full time and doing this on the side. And, it's just, you got to keep at it. You got to keep growing.
You got to keep learning. Well, hey, you took a page out of my book. One of the things that's part of this show's tagline is CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. That's what I
It
live
is
by.
there.
I did
Well,
not know it was a sports thing. I thought it was a
yeah, it
personal
is.
development thing.
No, it is. It comes from the idea of sports. If you look at any of them, I mean, when I say that, other people have used it, but sports
Right.
has always been about your goal is to be better than you were yesterday.
Yesterday. Wow. Yes. Yes. I
Mhm.
agree.
Yep.
Amazing. All right, guys. Well, listen, this has been an incredible episode of Author's Corner. Again, we were interviewing Louis, author of Success is More Than Winning. Definitely to go pick up a copy of his book. He talked about this is for young people, this is for old people, this is for everybody. But if you have a teenager that
Yeah.
you want to help him or her to succeed in life, this is an excellent gift. So thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Lou, thank you for being on the show. And until next
Wonderful.
time.
Thanks, Myrna.
Until next time.
Enjoyed it.
Namaste. I did too. All right.
Heck, you could have run this